What's going on, everyone? My name is Tewehado. I was formerly the co-founder and the editor of the Guion Journal. Put that to an end and to launch a new initiative called Guzo to Healing. Guzo, by the way, means journey. So this is a journey of healing. So I went from, raging against the machine and all the injustices of the world to kind of just focus on the one thing that is necessary for all of us, the inward journey to heal. So it's not an accident that here on New Year's Eve, I'm actually right in front of MedhaneAlem Church in New York. I came up here to visit my son, and let me tell you something. If you want healing, be with kids. They're the biggest source of healing in the world is our children. And my son, I call him, we call him Johannes. He baptized me, right? Johannes means John in Amharic. And so he's named after John the Baptist or Johannes the Baptist. And so for me, children in that way baptize all of us. Whatever traumas that we've gone through, pains that we've experienced, children, when we have kids, they renew us, They parent us as much as we parent them. Their form of innocence, their pure love and joy that they have for the world. There's a reason why in the Bible it says that we had to be like kids in order to gain the kingdom of heaven, right? It doesn't mean like doing stuff that's without knowledge. Like we learn for a reason. We need wisdom, right? And only age begets wisdom. But part of that process of learning also entails picking up the mistakes of the world, right? We become indoctrinated to the ways of this world, and we become cynics. The pure love and joy that we've had because of pains that all of us go through painful experiences. There's one thing that unites all of mankind, from king to homeless person and everyone else, is pain. Everyone goes through pain. Living life is painful. When you're being born, you come out crying for a reason. You go from having pure love in the womb to being pulled out of it and being traumatized. I'm sure the process of childbirth for a child is very traumatic. But because he gets embraced by the mom, then that's redemption, right? It's comforting. And that's why kids, when they go through separation anxiety, when they're not with both mom and dad, for that reason. Because mom and dad are like the blanket. Look at that. I'm not even going to edit this out. There's a guy literally honking his horn. Unbelievable. You see, I'm going to keep this because that by itself is meaningful, right? This guy is literally honking his horn for no reason, right in front of the church, right? Here's what I know to be true. The closer you get to God, the more the devil honks his horn at you, right? If you want an easy life, do things that's ungodly. The devil will give you a red carpet treatment. But if you try to get closer to God, if you turn your hand over to him and say, God, forgive me, and try to walk in that path, you get a white van that's honking the horn like incessantly, As a parable of life, If I was, instead of going to church today, and having this testimony, sharing this testimony with you, if my objective was to go to Vegas and party New Year's Eve, which is a sin, by the way, it really is. I'm not trying to be pious about these things. Sin bets, what we call sin bets, or Sabbath, the day of Sabbath, is supposed to start Friday night and go through Saturday night. And on that day, we're supposed to rest. We're not supposed to trade money. We're supposed to just reflect on the goodness of God. That's why in the 10 Commandments, it says Sabbath, honor Sabbath. That's one of the 10 Commandments. There's more commandments, by the way, but the central ones, one of the central ones is to honor Sabbath. Why is that important? Because God works for 6 days to create the world, and on the seventh day, he rested, right? We're supposed to work 6 days and rest on the seventh day. But the ways of this world, they teach us, in Ethiopia, Sinbet or Sabbath was supposed to be Karami or Saturday. King Susnios changed it, right? He picked up Catholic teachings because Catholicism is the inversion of Orthodox Christianity or true Christianity. I'm not saying this to be judgmental, by the way. We live in a fallen world, and even the most Orthodox human being in the world still battles with the flesh. I know I do, So I haven't, by any means, I haven't figured it all out. It's a growing process. And the beauty of God is that he actually forgives you. All you have to say is, I'm sorry. Don't be intentional. You can't continue to, I don't know, if you party too much, you can't continue to party all the time and say, God forgive me, God forgive me. There's a level of don't be slick. Slickness begets falling, But if you authentically, you make a mistake and say, I'm sorry, God, forgive it instantly. And most importantly, you forgive yourself. Because the biggest source of our suffering is shame and guilt. You know what I'm saying? For me, the reason that I finally started to figure things out is because I started to let go of the shame and guilt of what I've done in the past. Nothing harmful to other people, but harmful to me. When I was 11 years old, for example, I learned in the wrong way that if I do things that's not good for me, that actually I would be accepted by the quote unquote cool kids. So I learned that form of validation seeking haunted me for most of my life. I would help other people at the cost of myself at all times. Not good. I've said this in previous broadcast. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. You're not supposed to love yourself above love your neighbor above yourself. But that's what I've been doing for most of my life, loving others above myself. That's a sin. That's an equal sin as hating people. Because when you love people above yourself, it's a form of self-hate, self-loathing. God doesn't want that, So all that. So for me to sit up here and claim that Catholics are this or this person, we're all equally fallen, all of us in one shape or another dishonor the Ten Commandments, But the commandments are not there to oppress us. The commandments are there to help us, because when you start to actually follow those 10 commandments, those are guidelines for the ego, to keep the ego in check. When you honor God, for example, you're keeping the ego in check. You know what happens when the ego is unchecked? A mess. The ego takes over, and eventually you become the id as well. So honoring God is a way to tame your ego. You know what I'm saying? We live in a world that honors killing. I wish, instead of pointing that gun outward and killing other people in the name of God, I wish we turned that metaphorical gun inward and kill the ego. The ego. Drown the ego, and you be closer to God. And that's the challenge. But that ego, man, it's a bedeviling friend. It's a daily process to excavate and kick out the ego, and it's a challenge. There's priests that 90 years old, could probably still struggle with the ego. But at least the first step towards that healing journey, or the guzo, is to acknowledge exactly how powerful that ego is. I was talking to a friend named Ephraim in church, and the other MedhaneAlem church that I go to in Maryland. And he said to me, profound, he says, when the devil attacks you, lay down on the ground. You lower yourself all the way down to the ground, and in order to basically say, you got this. Until the time comes that God arms you, right, and gives you enough strength to stand up to the devil, you get down and you just lower yourself. He said that the analogy he gave was, if a bomb blows up, you get down to the ground to avoid the shrapnel. So when the devil attacks you, the first thing you do is you get down, you humble yourself and seek God. Humble yourself. When you pray all the way down to the ground, And what that does is it starts to drown the ego out. And in that process, when you drown the ego out, you actually become more powerful. Submission to God is a way of defying the devil. So even in that process, I kind of said something. I'm going to kind of tease this out a little bit. God basically said, the devil has his due right now. Who's in charge of this world right now is the devil and his foot soldiers, right? They're in charge. There's no evil is reigning supreme at this moment. God's children, God's people, we're throughout the whole world, whether you're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, oppression. The more you seek God, oppression will come for you. It's hard to be a Christian. It's hard to be, a Jew. It's hard to be a Muslim, a faithful one. Not the type that pick up the Bible to quote piously while they're doing the complete opposite. Not the type that blow up people in the name of God. Not the type that revive apartheid. No. I'm talking about the type that actually honor the Ten Commandments, which killing other people does not honor the Ten Commandments. You know, the type that honor the Sabbath, the type who don't let money become their moral compass. You know, but in that process, what happens is this: we as believers. And if you're an atheist, by the way, I'm not judging. If you just say you believe in love, okay? As lovers, as believers of love, we're meant to go through this process of refinement. This is our challenge. And 2021 was bad. 2022 is going to be pretty bad too. But I have faith in the end that God's will reign supreme, right? When that time is, only God knows. I'm not here to predict anything. The days of prophets is gone. There's no prophet. Only God, you know? So when that time comes, all the tests and tribulations, if we succeed them and pass, if we don't submit to immoral wars or immoral laws, the type that makes you take things that are supposed to be helping, but they're not. Read between the lines. If we defy and have faith above all, and retain our ability to love despite the hatred that comes for us, we will. If we pass that test, the blessings will be untold. You know, not untold. You can't even measure it. But this is a test. I'm going through a test. You know, there's a test with my job. There's a test with family. There's a test everywhere. But this test is going to become my testimony one of these days. And no matter what people might say about me right now, it doesn't matter. Because what I finally learned is this: only what I think about me and what God thinks about me matters. And if I love myself, and of course God loves me, what does it matter what people say about me? It doesn't matter. What matters is what when I look in the mirror, do I love myself? You know, do I exude full confidence instead of egotistical confidence? See, if I do all these things, this becomes energy that I will attract other people like that. If I don't believe in myself, if I don't love myself, if I hurt myself trying to help other people, I will attract that very same things, because people will treat you according to how you treat yourself, right? So I could sit up here, all the stuff that has happened to me over the past 2 months, let's call them the tsunami of woes and tribulations that came from me. I could sit up here and say, woe is me. No, and present myself as a victim, and that would be a grave injustice. That would be committing a sin against myself twice. The first act of victimization, you can't help. The second act of victimization, though, is even worse, which is to see yourself as a victim. I'm not a victim. You know, everything that happens is there to teach me to love myself. So I'll take it. I'll take all of it. Because I know at the end of the day, God is not going to put anything before me that is meant to harm me, right? If there's a challenge that comes, it's to teach me to love myself and to value myself. And when I pass that test, everything else will work itself out. And I'm passing that test every day, by the way. You know, I'm passing that test every day. You know, as I'm on my way up to New York to go to see my son, I stopped at a rest stop, and I was wearing sweatpants and stuff like that on the drive up. But I didn't want to, like, once I got to New York, I actually wanted to dress up. You know, like, this is when I'm driving, when I go to the gym, I wear sweatpants. When I'm in public now, I dress up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not dressing up for other people. It's for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are the type that puts on makeup You know, you go all out to show how beautiful you are when you're about to go somewhere, but then you let yourself look like a bum when nobody's around. It's an outside. You're putting on a show for other people. And I've done that. I was a great showman. You know, I used to work out to lose weight, so I could, you know, back in the day, so I could attract more women. So that I could be accepted into the inner circle. But then when the time comes for me, when I'm by myself, I let myself go. Why? The first person that you should impress is the person in the mirror, you know? So that's where I'm at. This is my guza of healing in that way. So when I was changing in the bathroom stall, I look up, it says total liberation written on the bathroom stall. Total liberation. That's what we need. Total liberation. But guess what? The oppressor, we're being convinced is on the outside. The quote unquote white man is doing this to us. The Republicans are doing this to us. Trump is doing, no, Biden's doing this to us. The biggest oppressor is ourselves. And when we realize that we hold the key to our liberation as within, and when we realize that the biggest enemy is actually the ego that's within us, there's nothing that can stop us. So in that way, breaking news, the gossip arguing, social media, video games, all these things are distractions. They're weapons of mass distraction. Look within yourself and heal. And by the way, you don't have to drop everything, stop life in order to go on this journey of healing. You know, like I said on the Guzo to healing, where I write, I said 2/3 will be dedicated to my journey of healing, and 1/3 will be like I will still write about the stuff in the world, but not from a place of judgment as much, but really from a place of observation and teachable moments, you know. But once in a while too, I might fall, I might falter. So that's where I'm at. My Guzo of healing has thus taken me here to MedhaneAlem. Let me tell you the irony of life. I was born and baptized in MedhaneAlem Church in Ethiopia. Then I got married in MedhaneAlem Church in Maryland. Then my son was baptized here, MedhaneAlem Church in New York, and I think this is Bronx, right? MedhaneAlem. You know what MedhaneAlem means? The medicine to the world. And it's a Christian church, Ethiopian Orthodox. Jesus is the medicine to the world, But Jesus, what he said though, is that we also, greater things than you could do, he basically said, right? That you could do, you have the power within you to do the things that I was able to do. But what the religion has taught us is to disempower ourselves and to see ourselves as broken sheep that can only be guided not by God, but by figureheads, authority figures, right? And so in a way, religion becomes actually very harmful. Faith, true faith, is about empowerment, right? It's about feeding ourselves instead of being fed, and feeding ourselves and feeding other people at the same time, because it's unselfish love. But unselfish love requires you to love yourself and love other people, So, MedhaneAlem. But guess what? I don't necessarily have to go to church either every Sinbet. I mean, I'm going to go to church tomorrow. There's a church I go to in Alexandria. I forgot the name. Caduce. I'm kind of new there. So I go there because they honor the Sabbath. I go there on Saturdays. Sundays when I go to church, I go there. I still go there to pray, obviously, but I go there to work. I'm not going there to rest. I'm going there to work. That's my position from now on. Saturdays, I honor God, I rest. I go to church, I pray, give thanks. Sunday, go to church, work. I can sit up here and lecture people and say, no, thou shalt do this. No, just be the change that you want to see. And that biggest change is to love myself. And when I do that, as I'm doing, then everything else will fall into place. Everything else. And all the blessings that God has in store for me, and he has a lot, all of us have a purpose in life if we just believe in ourselves. So in this way, the biggest guzo of healing for me, it goes right back to where I was baptized into. MedhaneAlem, right? It's to believe that the love of Christ within me could conquer all. And when I believe that, then whatever the devil has in store, I just laugh at him. Because he's weak and feckless. He's a nobody. And his followers are nobodies. And Jesus is all powerful. You know? And God is amazing, astounding, omnipresent, omnipowerful. I could walk around everywhere without feeling scared of anything. That is the confidence of God. That's the love of Jesus within me. All right? So on this New Year's, by the way, we in Ethiopia, our New Year's is, ironically enough, on September 11th. There's a reason that these terrorists picked that day, by the way. You know, on this New Year's, I'm not saying this to be judgmental. It's, again, another Catholic invention. But, you know, when in Rome, act like Romans, you know. And, you know, I love America. And so, you know, I'm not trying to, like, destroy, you know, the essence of it. But, you know, for me, when we return back to the truth of God, right, and honoring God in that way, truth is necessary, right? So if there's a painting that's presented as a Jesus and it's not him, you need to tell the truth, you know? But all that will come. First, the healing journey starts within me. Let me be in a place to where people would look at me and say, oh, that light, I want that light. You know, let me be the change, and then people will accept what I've been saying for the past 14, 15 years. Until then, you know, if I'm the greatest chef in the world, but I look like a homeless man, nobody's going to want to eat at that restaurant. Same way, if I have the knowledge of Solomon, and the fire of Samuel to tell it, you know, and the dedication of Johannes, or John the Baptist, and the fidelity of Job. All these things. If I have all these things, but yet I don't have love for self and for others equally, then I'm like that clang. Nobody will listen to me, including myself. So love starts within. Everything else will work itself out. So on that note, if you celebrate tonight, just take 1 second to just be thankful for whatever that you have, or that even for the challenges that you have. Just be thankful, because within that gratitude, there's a seed that's being planted, where from that seed will grow a great force of abundance. All right. Again, thank you. Again, this is the church that I was, my son was baptized into. I might be back next Sunday. We'll see. To actually next Christmas. January the 7th is Ethiopian Christmas. So I might be back, or I might just do go to church at home. We'll see. Regardless, irrespective. The church. There's a church, by the way. It says, "Where two or more gather in my name." You know, the whole time I'm talking to you, there's me here, and there's God right next to me. Two or more. This was church for me today. I didn't need to be on this side. I didn't need to be wearing fancy attire, call myself Abba. None of that is necessary. Church is our temple, the temple, our body, you know. And as we pray and find gratitude for what God has given us, we become the temple. Our bodies become the temple that we worship, and not worship, but respect and honor. And when we do that, we respect and honor and worship God. All right. So love within, and everything else will take care of itself. All right. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to do something again, maybe once a week, I guess. Until then, have a blessed night, and just I guess the catchphrase I'm going to come up with is be love and let love win. All right. Peace and God bless.